Yeah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everybody. Selamat pagi. So welcome to our class, Introduction to Sustainability. This is the class of Introduction to Sustainability, which is coming from International Class, Department of Architecture, Faculty of Engineering, Universitas Indonesia. My name is Opachala Dewi, and would like to present the final presentations that we have done for these semesters. Okay, for the topics we have mobility city, waterborne city, eco city, and zero emissions. And this is the learning output. Okay, sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Opachala Dewi. I'm the lecturer from Department of Architecture, and I have also here, not here, Mita, who will present at the end. And as a learning outcome of this course, we have four. The first one is we need to present about the definitions of the urban sustainability. The second one, we have to define what are the issues. The third one, we need to clarify about the phenomena about like climate change, for example. And the last one, we need to define what are the basic requirements of the urban sustainability. This is new city. I'm sure that you will be excited. So enjoy. So for the first group, please welcome Mobility City.
Okay, good morning everyone in class and on YouTube. We are group 1 of the class Interest in Sustainability as first year architecture students of University of Indonesia. My name is Humaira.
My name is Chandra Bagas.
My name is Hamza Lubis.
My name is Muhammad Baral Fabian. My name is Akmal.
And my name is Nashwa.
As seen on our trailer presented just now, this morning we will be presenting about our city, Skyline City, which is Celestport, the mobility city. We will be tackling methods of utilizing biofuel public transportation for inclusive mobility and the supporting aspects to support this idea, such as the use of renewable energy resources, city policies, and other aspects that with the intention and goal of minimizing our carbon footprint in a boreal high mobility city with the knowledge that we have acquired so far in our course this semester. Next slide, please. I'm sorry, this slide. Yeah.
Okay, so before we jump into a deeper material about our presentation about sustainable city, first we need to know the definition about what is sustainability. Sustainability is the balance between the environment, equity, and economy. Not only that, sustainability also defined as the ability to maintain or support a process continuously over time. And with that definition, we implemented that aspects into our sustainable city. So another question popped up from our mind. What is sustainable city? Sustainable city is a city which has been designed through urban planning and management to minimize environmental degradation. And these are all of the practices that incorporates to our sustainable city, which consists of clean water, air quality, environmental governance, transport, waste and land use, energy, green buildings, and CO2 minimization.
So knowing what sustainability is, what is our idea of the city? Our group has agreed to focus on applying methods where in the context of coastal boreal city that has a significant population and tourism recreational rates and thus a high mobility rate can progressively reduce the city's overall carbon emission through the use of public electric transportation powered by renewable energy and other public mobility facilities incorporated with efforts to strategically plan transportation routes in order to encourage communities to transport between places without a personal fossil-based vehicle, thus creating a butterfly effect of formation of a healthier lifestyle, minimizing carbon footprint, community cooperation towards our sustainability goals, maximizing the use of renewable energy, increasing the use of green areas, inclusive mobility, responsible resource consumption, implementing 3R, reduce, reuse, and recycle, conservation of gas resources, and also effective sustainability strategies. Next slide, please.
Okay, so now I'm going to talk about our city benchmark, which is Gothenburg, Sweden, which was recognized as the most sustainable city in the world by the GSI or the Global Sustainability Index for 5 years in a row till the year 2021. But what makes Gothenburg sustainable? What actually differentiates it from other cities in the world? Well, first and foremost, the transportation, or to be more specific, the public transportation. Where in Gothenburg, public transportation, the tram, is easily accessible to the people there due to the city layout, and also it uses the same road as other vehicles such as private cars, so that people are more tend to use public transportation rather than use private cars. And on top of that, the public transportation there also uses electrical energy, which are conserving natural resources. Gothenburg also uses its surrounding to its advantage. An example is the body of water located across Gothenburg, as you can see from the map, where a public electric ferry could be used to get from one end to another end. But if one does not want to pay and use such public transportation, one can always walk or use electric bikes and also scooters to reach their desired destination, because Gothenburg has specific lanes made for such activities. And aside from public transportation, there are also several parks in Gothenburg, which has the benefits such as helping clean the air, improve public health, community engagement, and also help the city economically. While there are a lot of parks, there are still a lot of green spaces ranging in size to hundreds of hectares that are not designated as parks or reserves. Next slide, please.
Okay, from those considerations, I would like to welcome you all to our city, Celestport, which is a mobility city that have a benchmark of the city of Gothenburg. I would like to explain some index that you can see from our city and how we develop our city. First, we have a population of around 37,643 people, and with an unemployment rate of only 3%. Meaning we have developed a city that is able to provide for their citizens. Next, the citizen happiness is almost around 70 to 90%, which means they are all happy. And the population also and electricity is very sustainable. And I would like to share also some pictures of our city. As you can see, there are a lot of transportation that the people of Celestport can choose, such as trains, biofuel buses, trams, or even electric bike, and also we provide a walkable pathways for them. We have managed to maximize the amount of area that were given to us to build a well-developed city, a city designed for the future, and a city that cares for the people. With features such as electric-powered public transportation, strategic residential areas, greenery and public parks, sustainable energy generators, farming sections, and walkable pathways. Next slide, please.
Okay, on this next slide, you can see the zoning of our city. So we decided to divided our city into several groups. So as you can see in this picture, the number one is the high density population. It is separated into several parts. And number two is office zones. Number three is commercial area. Number four is power plant. Number five is low density population. Number six is parks and green area. And number seven, the last is farm area. We decided to keep the commercial zones and density population zones to maximize the mobility and the consumption of the natural resource from the farm area. And we also includes the few of the entrance to our city to maximize the flow of transportation to prevent traffic.
In addition, we have also created a transportation lines for our public transport with an efficient method that we have also created every bus stop in near a residential area. Also, we very encourage the city to have an eco-friendly uh, approach that we created almost an entire greenery or an entire forest in the middle of our zoning. Next slide.
Lastly, we have defined some important aspects that we implemented to our city. The first one is public transport. To create a sustainable transport system, we've implemented certain ways to establish an eco-friendly transportation while increasing mobility in the area. For that, we have added the use of trams, biofuel buses, walkable pathways, and efficient transport lines to our city. The next one, we have renewable energy. Electricity is needed in every corner of the city, hence we choose to use an eco-friendly method to generate renewable energy as our main source of power. So we have added wind power energy, solar power, and also solar panels to our city. And last but not least, we think that it's important to invite greenery and agriculture. In order to have an eco-friendly city, we have to pay attention to its natural resources and how to manage it. So we have implied public parks, green architecture, farming industry section, and lots of trees. That sums up the end of our presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much for the presentations. I hope that you enjoyed the presentations. Can I address one question? What is actually the chair sport?
Chair sport?
Yes, the chair sport.
It's
Name
just
of the city?
yeah, it's just a play on Celeste means heavenly. So as we're planning for the future and also the current generations, we wanted our city to be a heavenly place for them, for also the next generation. And the port is basically just the area of the city because we're in a coastal city and there is ports on the side of the rivers.
Okay, thank you so much. So I think this group already addressed both public transportation, renewable energy, and also green architecture. We define ourselves not a planner, of course, yeah, but we try to communicate the way we understood the basic studies of sustainability of architecture. Okay, thank you so much once again. So please welcome the second group. It's Waterfront City.
Hello and good morning, teachers, facilitators, friends, and everybody else who made time to watch our presentation on YouTube. Today, me and my group, which consists of me, Nadine, Afifa, Zahari, Mervin, Bila, and Talita from the International Program of Architecture, would like to present our sustainable approach towards designing a waterfront city. And before getting into the presentation, I would like to give a brief explanation on what exactly a waterfront city is. So a waterfront city is a city that is positioned on the water's edge. And based on this kind of geography, many things could be developed, particularly in terms of its sustainability. And it doesn't mean that this kind of city can only be found nearby sea, but it could also be found by other great bodies of water such as lakes and rivers. And this kind of waterfront city or town is exposed to a lot of natural components such as great bodies of water and also adequate amount of strong winds. And if this kind of town is developed appropriately, we could attract and increase the interest rate towards tourists coming to the town. Next slide, please.
Okay, so we use Zurich as our benchmark. So why we choose Zurich as our benchmark? Firstly, because its geographic condition and characteristic that is pretty similar to our city, that is waterfront city. And the secondly is because Zurich shares important sustainable goal and its image for being a walkable city. And our city almost fit all criteria for being a walkable city. And thirdly, it's because Zurich urban planning utilized water resources and resulted in accommodating health, comfort, traffic, safety, and decreasing pollution for its citizens. And as we all know, there is advantages and disadvantages for being a waterfront city. The first one is abundant water availability and tourist potential for tourism and strong wind and also mixed zone planning. And the unavoidable disadvantages is such as a risk of flood and also a special soil condition. Next slide, please.
Okay, so our chosen city map is named Sunshine Lake based on our natural resources that we need to realize the theme of this waterfront city. Here it can be seen that the availability of the water is sure a lot and it surrounded the city. There's also farming and forest resources that is sufficient. And we move to the topography. Looking at this topography, we divide the district on its island with a mixed zoning approach, specifically such as a commercial and industrial district that occupy one island, city centers which have commercial and residential areas, and so on. We also create an agricultural areas to take the advantage of these farming resources on this map island. Next, please.
As previously said, we know that we use the mixed zoning concept as leads to workability. So the concept of mixed zoning approach is that we're combining more than one zones in one region or neighborhood. For example, we combine the commercial area between the residence area, or like we combine the office area between the commercial area too. With this strategy, we know that every element on our city is like accessible for everyone. It's also that makes the residents are less likely to do public transportations or even their own vehicles. They prefer to do the work. So even with the substantial mobility of residents, if we consider about the population of growth, our mobility is overcome by working. So of course it will affect on our aspect on our city, which is the public health, in which the people will be healthier because they will going everywhere with working, and also they will have a cleaner air because it provides the less gas emission. Next slide, please.
Okay. First, we have so far put our focus on achieving our sustainability goals. For the city, we've also kept in mind the important aspects, which are the citizens' state and condition. This means monitoring and maintaining the citizens' health, happiness, energy use, traffic, and their pollution. We put it as our goal to maintain the wellness of these states and staffs using resources from the city and utilizing its waterfront specialty along with our sustainable goal of walkability. The results can be seen in the presentation, with the average health of our citizens being 90%, which is achieved as well through help of our cause for walkability, happiness in our districts, which range from 77 to 98% by facilitating recreational areas, utilizing our waterfront
waterfront condition, and with electricity, traffic, and pollution being kept to a low, with electricity consumption being almost 500 megawatts lower than our electricity production, and using waterfront and using the city's waterfront condition as renewable energy source, minimal use of high fuel methods of transport, and only 1 to 2% average ground pollution.
Okay, so as we choose a waterfront city for our concept, even though there are many potential and benefits, we also realize that there is a threat for our city, as it is surrounded by water and water as our main resources. There are also a lot of water natural disasters such as tsunami and the natural flooding from the sea and the river, storm surges, flooding in inland areas, heavy rainfall, and even climate change can be a threat for our city. And from that, we try to formulate a solution for our city, which is living with water concept, which we benchmarking from Hamburg City in Germany, as they make their city to be flood-proof city buildings and walk and roads, so that when there is a natural disaster happening, the city is ready to solve it. So the solution itself is to make the inland higher than the sea, and then making a road that is connected from the lower land to the higher land, so that the people can help themselves when there is a flood coming through, and making a building, a road, and that is that can detect where there is a flood, so that it can block itself. So next we're going to see our city in another way with a video. Next slide, please.
Have you ever seen a city located near the water? This is a story about that. This is a waterfront city, surrounded by water even on the city center. But that's what supports the city to grow. In the city, the availability of the bridge is very important to make every region accessible to one another. The thing is, the bridges are not only for vehicles but also for humans. It's cool, right? Moving on to the area where everything is green. The city park. Another water view of the city. This is the city center during the night. And the houses looks very stunning near the trees. Let's enjoy the city view. Now we're going a little bit up. This is the agricultural area where they supply our food. Not very big, but adequate to provide us meals. Let's see another side of the city. lastly, the area that always been busy, the industrial area. That's for today's survey. See you.
We have now come to the end of our presentation. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you.
Okay, so thanks a lot for the participation. I think this is also quite very interesting issues that we have facing at the moment, right? If you can imagine how we deal in the next 20, 40 years, I don't know. Maybe we will deal with this kind of city, the waterfront city. Okay, then we also invite any questions from the floor, also from the audience in the YouTube. If they have any questions, please do write them for us. Yeah. So we welcome the third group. Please coming Eco City Group.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Before we start our presentation, I would like to introduce the group. Here we have Faya, we have Daphne, and then I myself, it's Mio, and then Dira, and also Fallon. We would like to present our presentation on ecocity. Can we go to the slide before to see the video?
Tampering with the climate of the earth and with the very atmosphere that we breathe. When we talk about the disappearance of the ozone layer, we don't know what will happen when the ozone layer goes.
Days between these horrific disasters have been becoming shorter and shorter, and this is because of the worsening of the already urgent issue of global warming. Temperatures have grown to be more extreme and seasons have shifted, and we must swallow the hard pill that we are the cause of these destruction. Citizens of Jakarta must change their lifestyle to have healthier habits that will alleviate the issues at hand instead of further speeding up the planet's destruction. Rivers are overflowed with trash and blue skies are grayed with smoke, whether it's from cigarettes, factories, and even the abundance of gasoline vehicles. What must we do? On a larger scale, the government should continue their attempts in creating a much more accessible public transportation system, as well as implementing new regulations and policies that will push the people as well as industries to participate in the movement. However, on a personal level, each and every one of us can participate by starting new habits, such as categorizing our household waste, then recycling what is possible, and exchanging the rest to institutions that will process these waste properly. The change should start from somewhere, and that somewhere can be as close as an empty soda can in your room. Don't waste this crucial time. Be the change to ensure the stability and health of the environment. because without it, we won't be here.
Okay, as seen from the video that we have prepared today, there are numerous worrisome problems that has been becoming more and more common within our society. And therefore, we came up with this idea to promote the awareness of the urgency of the issues at hand. And our idea is oriented towards the sustainable urban planning, can also be referred to as an eco-city. And it focuses on become an eco-city with zero emissions by minimalizing the carbon emissions. And some of the keywords here that we wanted to achieve in our project are integrated green areas, as well as the city that is accessible to pedestrians and cyclists, and also implementing new regulations to promote the awareness. Next slide, please.
So for the next, we're gonna talking about our benchmark city, which is Jakarta to be fixed. There are some of the reasons why we choose this city to become our benchmark. As long as we know, Jakarta has already become our capital city for a long time. Many people come here for several reasons, like working, studying, or etc. First, I'm gonna talking about the potential of the city. Jakarta has a socio-demographic characteristic at the village level, which we have known that there are a lot of people in Jakarta. But we're gonna look at it in a positive way first, because it means they're gonna be more human, so to become an agent of changing and in the environment of Jakarta. The second one is about how easy, how accessible to reach many of facilities in Jakarta, especially the healthcare facilities, which we know how important it is during this pandemic era. And the third one is the water potential. Jakarta has a lot of water source like river, where if we can use and maintain it, could be used for electricity source, and if we fix it, it could be more useful too. But not just for this potential, Jakarta is also has some problems that we need to fix. For example, like the problems in zoning. Jakarta has a high density residential zones that are unevenly distributed. We already talked about the positive way, then I'm gonna talk about the negative ways because it's population. Lack of green areas are used for where they live. And of course, the industrial area that is located in the center of a densely populated area, which can make the air unhealthy. This nickname of Jakarta is already become a famous statement. Who doesn't know that Jakarta is the city of pollution? But why can be happen? Yeah, it's the same reason. Population density that using their own private transportation for going somewhere. Also, one of the biggest one is the manufacturing industry. From all of it, we choose some of the keywords that become our concern. That's traffic jam, pollutant, and high population density. Next.
Okay, for the next one, because Jakarta is a metropolitan city, it is a need for the city to have residential, industry, convenience store, entertainment area, and the most important thing is open green area. As you can see here, this is the zoning of the city that is functional but also sustainable for Jakarta. First, about the sound pollution. Residential area is put further away from the noisy sound that is mainly produced by industry and also traffic. So the Jakarta citizens could have healthy hearing, so to avoid hearing problems. And you could also see that there is entertainment area, there's small expo market museums and etc. are put in one place, but also surrounded by greeneries to maintain its sustainability. And for the second one, the most important part is the separated sector industry from residential area. Therefore, the air pollution does not reach and harm the Jakarta citizens, and they can have a healthy life and also a healthy environment to live in. In addition, about the place to live, Jakarta better to build more apartments or flats for the slums area, because we know that Jakarta has a lot of slums next to the river. And also we consider that we should move residential area a little bit further from the river so that the inhabitants won't pollute the river from their houses waste, because we know river in Jakarta is heavily polluted. These solutions also will solve the population density in Jakarta, because a lot of people move to Jakarta to find work here. So we need to provide them a lot of house, and also to save open green areas, we need to combine the residential area into an apartment or flats.
can move to the next one.
Okay, so the next one, we have some solutions for the traffic jam and traffic pollution. Also, we apply some city regulation or city policies. So as you can see from the left of map, which is the traffic jam map, the green line is actually how the roads are actually clear and smooth, but there's a little bit of orange. You just have a little bit of congestion, but it's not that bad. So the solution, we have three. The first one is roundabout for traffic jam, which is to generate a continuous and circular traffic flow. The second is that we develop better public transportation. For example, like rail system, which has begun to operate, and accessible trans-corridor bus, and all roads are connected, as you can see from the right map. And then the last one is free public transportation, which people can easily switch to public transportation with free access. And this
Yeah, we cannot say, we cannot do anything. Yeah. Okay, so thank you so much for Group Ecocity. I think if you have seen all the presentations, that we select one city that for our benchmark, right? So the first group already pick up the Gothenburg. The second one is Hamburg. This is where I live, actually. I had my PhD there. And the third one is our lovely Jakarta. Yes, and you address the issues about the pollutions and also the sounds, right? This is something that we have every day, right? Okay, thank you so much. So we are preparing the last group for today. This is about zero emission cities, but if you also consider about the issues, even though one city select like waterfront city, but they do discuss about walkability, and also like walkability, they do discuss about emission, low emission, and this kind of so on. And this is something that we actually try to communicate with all of you, that everything is actually correlated to one another, and you cannot just say into one point, but into the holistic things, but through link them one by one. Yeah. Okay. Are we ready for the last group? Okay, then applause and we take the last group, the mission group.
Good morning, everyone in YouTube and class. Today we are from Gupro from Sustainability class from Universitas Indonesia International Program. My name is Kevin. My name is Theodorus Johannes.
My name is Daniel Lazaro.
My name is Fatina Zara.
My name is Kiala.
My name is Mustafa Sulaiman. Before we start, I want to tell you a message that Earth is all that we have in common. And therefore, I want to quote from our book, Upcycle. We humans have intentionality and have the ability to see further than other species. By that, we are accountable for our designs. Next. Our concept can be summarized in one sentence. Integration of solution by comparative review for a certain city by public transportation that leads to zero emission. Hence, the theme are net positive change reaction through public transport, and our topic are public transport with zero emission as a side effect. Our approach is comparative analysis of existing project. In our case, existing project by Shenzhen. The background and the reason for our approach is that transportation accounts for roughly 27% of total energy consumption and 23% of global energy related to CO2 emission. Therefore, one cannot overestimate its impact on the environment. Public transportation system is on every level important to keep the city sustainable. The measurement of energy use, CO2 emission, air pollution, and traffic noise would be the best indicator of the environmental impact of public transport. In wider perspective, social and economic issues are affected in an exceptional manner. Newman and Kenworthy in their paper define unsustainability of current urban transport as a pattern of automobile dependence. In other words, the unsustainability of city is directly proportionate to the private use. Hence, our core solution will tackle this problem first by technical aspect and second by the human aspect that will affect the human psychology and increase their quality of life. Therefore, our keywords are automobile dependent, sustainability and accessibility, integrated visual pattern, electric vehicle, effective and efficient road system, isolated vehicle, zero emission, traffic management, and better quality of life. Next.
So the assessment project in our case is run by the government of Shenzhen, which is one of the China's largest contributor to their green project. And the reason why we want to compare the cities of Shenzhen and Jakarta is because both of them have many similar aspects. For example, the first one is both of the cities have similar typology and also climatology. In addition, there is also 12.5 million people in Shenzhen, which cause a lot of motorization. And the difference here is that the cities of Shenzhen has many attempts to overcome their zeros, and seeing the large human population there, they will aware of the importance of the sustainability of their city. And this high motorization causes a lot of traffic jams, which of course, if it is controlled by the oil-filled car, it will produce gas emissions. The government of Shenzhen is actually already aware of that, so they want to focus on their improving their public transportation.
So because of that, they are willing to make improvements such as traffic regulation and public transportation. So the introduction of electric transportation is one of the most beneficial advances. And as a result of that, carbon emissions were decreased by 600,000 per year, pounds per year. According to research, the city total CO2 emissions have decreased by more than 22% compared to the diesel bus era. And the electrification of public transportation also improved the quality, like all the Shenzhen, like noise and pollution levels have gotten less, and emissions in streets have plummeted as well. This is the comparison table of 100 kilometers of emission from the
diesel bus and electric bus. As you guys can see, the reduction in emission from the diesel bus versus an electric bus is significant. And emission, like demonstrating how much better electric buses are. And from the table, you can see how many emissions we save by switching the two electric buses. The electric bus emits a very little to no pollutants. However, there's a concern of battery recycling and disposal that may be a challenge for Samsung next. And manufacturing and managing such a large number of battery-powered vehicle has provided them with invaluable expertise and knowledge that will help them enhance technology and goods. From here, we can use the positive side of our selected city. Next.
For our city, we chose to simulate the geographical context of Singapore. We wanted a city on a tropical island with limited resources to better investigate the shortcomings and solutions of cities in this geography. The island is very mountainous and has rivers running through it. So we chose to place the city in the middle of the island because it is relatively flat and has the most access to outside connection. When we were planning our city, we implemented several zoning strategies to better improve citizens' health and well-being. Firstly, heavy industry and the rest of the city is separated and never allowed to mix. Not only does industry create high amounts of pollution, it is also very loud and attracts heavy traffic consisting of trucks and lorries. This traffic will create more air and noise pollution and also worsen congestion if allowed to mix with regular vehicles. To solve these problems, we created a special industrial zone away from the city with its own highway access, so residents do not have to live near the factories and trucks can still deliver resources to industry without going to the city. For the rest of the city, we decided to implement a mixed-use zoning policy. This means that residential and commercial buildings are merged into one location, which makes it easier for people to walk to shops and work because places of business are very close to their homes. Deciding where to place commercial buildings requires us to analyze the road layout of the city. Commercial buildings are mostly placed in street corners and intersections and also heavily placed on main roads. Placing commercial areas on corners provide more equal access to local residents, and it will shield them from the higher noise pollution found in intersections. Placing commercial areas on main roads dampen the high noise and traffic of the roads, and it also provides to businesses more customers as the high traffic means more people are passing through the area and encountering them. Thanks.
Okay, our main problem is the use personal transportation. Our solution is one technical aspect, namely traffic management using the mixed using plan of commercial and residential. Because allow for better walkability and least need for private vehicles. The second solution is an integrated transport system with vehicles powered with electricity rather than traditional gasoline and or diesels. We use two types of transportation, namely trams and buses. We choose trams and buses because they support each other in terms of transportation. The function we have analyzed and know from trams is primary public transit, spans entire city and used for medium or long journeys. And we analyze and find out about the bus. The bus is supports the trams or the trams lines and used for short, medium journeys. Because trams make traffic in certain choke points, buses elevate pressure by providing alternative routes containing tram lines and serving minor demand. Next.
Another solution that we propose is actually to popularize this thing that is called public transportation. And for to popularize this public transportation, we have to obtain the people's interest, of course, and then we have to make the public transportation as like one of the more
most main commuter, so people to consider instead of their own personal vehicle. And our first step is actually to understand and analyze what people actually look for in a vehicle, in the system. First of all, is the functionality, how much use and how much impact does the system actually work for the person. Secondly, is the comfortability, so person can enjoy. And lastly, the enjoyment, so people actually want to come to the facilities. And after that, we can construct the solution. The first solution being is actually to improve the infrastructure and the architecture quality. From here, we actually analyze the three aspects: the ergonomic, aesthetic, and also the functionality. First of all, the functionality. It's more connected to like the engineering part. We perhaps we can improve the city layout for larger reachability to travel, and perhaps maybe a better reliability for the transit. And secondly, we can also improve the aesthetic part of the facilities. Perhaps we can improve the design quality of the architecture, so people actually want to see and visit the facilities. And perhaps we can also improve the ergonomic, the more comfortability part. Perhaps we can improve the comfortability design facilities. And next, after we have improved the facilities, we have to let people know the features and the pros and cons to get a better substantial information about the system. How? I think we can perhaps inform and advertise the person, for the people about our public transportation system. Lastly, after the people know, we have to create a system where people can actually access the public transportation system. How? We actually think that we can use and improve the equal architecture, equal infrastructure growth with larger span and also convenient access. Because services that only 56% of Indonesian actually have a convenient access. And convenient access means the public transportation is under 5 kilometers from residential. Now, lastly, the more important, one of the most important aspect too is the cost. Perhaps the government can give a certain amount of subsidy. So, why do we actually create this? What is the benefit of our solution? First of all, the mixed zoning is actually basically like the creating the different sectors of the city to be more scattered. Why? So each sectors is not very condensed. So one resident can actually visit and actually connected to a lot of different sectors, making it the relatively close range. So it promotes the walkability, meaning the daily activity will demand less motorization rate. And actually, walkability can also improve the overall health and overall quality of life over time. Next is the hyperconnected system. Hyperconnected system can make the traffic to be less. It can lessen the traffic. So with less traffic, first of all, it can result to less pollution. Less pollution with less sound pollution, also air pollution, and also cars can emit less carbon. And secondly, people can also do more meaningful things because they have more time. Because there's less traffic, perhaps it can improve the overall improvement of the country and increase productivity. So overall, it can also improve the health and overall quality of life. Next is the videography session of our presentation.
Hyper-Avinity city by public transportation that leads to zero emission. Integration of solution by comparative review for a selected city by public transportation that leads to zero emission. The theme are net positive chain reaction through public transport. The topic are public transport with zero emission and EVAC. Our approach is cooperative analysis of existing projects. In our case, the existing project is by Shenzhen's government, being one of China's biggest contributor of green project. The background and reason of our decision is that transportation account for roughly 27% of total energy consumption and 20% of global energy-related carbon dioxide emission. Hence, one cannot overestimate its impact on the environment. Our core problem is the usage of private mobile, which create traffic, core emission, unwanted noise, air pollution, etc. in a manner that accumulate. Therefore, our core solution will be tackling this in first technical aspect and second human aspect. that will affect human physiology and increase the user quality of life. The cities of Shenzhen and Jakarta have similar topography and climatology. Shenzhen has made many attempts to overcome the busy roads. The introduction of electric transportation which runs on electricity is one of the most beneficial advances. Electric buses reduce carbon emissions by 600,000 tons per year. The island is very mountainous and has a river running through it. We choose to place the city in the middle of the island because it is very relatively flat piece of land and has the most access to outside connections. We create a special industrial zone away from the city with its own highway access so residents do not have to live near the factories and trucks can still deliver roses to industry without going through the city. For the rest of the city, we decided to implement a mixed-use zoning policy. This means that residential and commercial buildings are merged into one. Commercial buildings are mostly placed in the street corners and intersections and also heavily placed on main roads. An integrated transportation system with vehicles powered with electricity rather than traditional gasoline or diesel. With mixed zoning and hyperconnectivity, there is a less traffic and it promotes walkability while reducing the use of motorized vehicles. And welcome to our city.
Thank you for listening our presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, so we already saw the last presentations about emissions, which is talking about the very connected place. And we will also, I think we already saw that the city just look like the same, right? But we saw so many titles, but this else is consuming the fuel which is not fossil fuel based. Okay, thank you so much once again for group work. Yes, and then we came up into the conclusions for today. Yeah, I think Pak Mika will read it for us for the messages.
Hi everyone. Okay, so we're reaching the end of the class, and thank you for all the it was super great. And yeah, I will read some of concluding remarks that maybe will be considered to our future steps regarding, especially regarding this class. First one is our city should be a heavenly place not only for us but also for the next generation. Yes, because what we do today, it would be your how do you put it? It would be your giving to the next generation, so they will be taken for us from us. The second one is we can do something to take advantage of our city's condition to improve it instead of demolishing it. Yeah, the third one is we need to change if we don't want to split towards destruction, because if we don't change, we won't be here anymore. Okay, so we need to change everybody in a better place or in a better behavior. Our city should change its directions to an integrated transportation system which allows better workability and of course fewer private vehicles. Yeah, I guess this one is true, and it's also included in all the presentations.
And my general comment is, I guess you are already super aware about these aspects, not only about the transportations, energy system, renewable energy, but the most important part is you can start from the very small steps. Like I guess I saw one of the presentation that you start from showing the cans, the bottle cans to your or collecting from your surroundings. I mean, that's the very basic things. And uh, for the videos, it was super cool, and I guess yeah, you can share it to your social media. I guess. I mean, yeah, you should be proud of it because you start from the scratch and then to the games, and I hope you and we as well learn something from this, and we can improve. If you have some feedback, I mean, yeah, say and give to us. It would be very helpful also for the future step of this class. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So these are the conclusions from all of us, yeah. So to all of you who have heard about this message, this is from our first year class of architecture in the international class, the introductions of sustainability. Actually, why we deliver this course at the beginning is because this is like kind of awareness, right, for us. If you remember, Kavita, we begin the first meeting in the class, we try to collect the keywords about sustainability, right? And then after that, we have an exercise for our home, ourselves, our family, how actually we generate the emissions. I don't know if we are aware or unaware, but then after that, we come to realize that how bad is actually our behavior, right? This is just last step, yeah, small step that we try to also socialize it for you, and then maybe you can share it to your environment, yeah? Okay, then maybe there is no right or wrong in learning process, right? Yeah, but for sustainability, of course, there is bad and good things, yeah, that's the difference. But we do understood that for the learning process, it should be enjoyable. That's why we also would like to thank City Skyline, the game provider, yeah, because they already provide these games, and we try to compete it with our curriculum in education. I hope that instead of enjoying the game, you also enjoying the process of learning, knowing the sustainability, how we deal with the city now, futures, and for your next generation. Yeah, and we would like also to thank Tika Karama Kadian for accompanying this lecture. And also, of course, we would like to thank the Department of Architectures and Faculty of Engineering, University of Indonesia, for providing such technology. Yeah, we are here now, and I think maybe we will be advancing our technology from now on, right? Okay, then is there anything from you? Maybe is there any words as a feedback?
I'd like to thank the lecturers and also the assisting lecturers for the class for this semester, because we had a lot of fun doing it. And of course, this will be further knowledge for us to have in the future also. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. From the group, maybe?
It's your lecture as well, and we have to fast. You learn a lot of subject, what that subject, what is responsibility that matters, and how to deal with it for the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
We would also like to thank our lecturer and for today's class and for this semester. It's a very fun project, especially this civic science project, make it enjoyable with games, but still learning a lot from so much.
Last group?
I think what we'd like to say is that this course has been very eye-opening and it's very really important for our future endeavors. I think wawasannya banyak. Insightful, it's very insightful.
Okay, thank you so much. So I hope rather than thanking the lecturers, we also rather thanking the knowledge that we shared in the class, because however, among yourself is actually supporting one another during the learning process, right, Kanita?
Yep.
Okay, then I think it's time to say goodbye. Yeah, we need to thank to our department and also to Faculty of Engineering, and we will call you to say thanks. Then coming here to the stage, yes, and use your. Ketika kalau misalkan dia. Let's go. Maybe you can check this one a bit further.
Jadi kita dari sini. Dari sini. Bisa juga.
Ya.
Thank you.
Jangan
bagi. Sini
Okay. So, thank you to the Department of Architecture, Faculty of Engineering, Universitas Indonesia. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, sudah?